Masaba's in the middle. Wednesday here could seal it. Casimir finds Masaba.
Now Bannon with a great ball in. Here's an opportunity. Palmer scores! Liam Palmer has scored for Sheffield Wednesday.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Tie-Dye podcast. This is the debate show coming to you a mere 24 hours after the fans forum that Dejphon Chansiri held at Hillsborough yesterday. We're going to be reacting to said fans forum on tonight's show, and we welcome and encourage your thoughts and your comments too. We're live on YouTube, also on X Spaces as well, so please do get involved, as we want to hear as many people as we possibly can this evening. Get your point across, get something off your chest, tell us what you think about Sheffield Wednesday and the comments that you heard yesterday from that fans forum, from the chairman, Dejphon Chansiri. Whether you was one of the 200 plus people that was there last night or whether you was keeping an eye on the socials, we do want to hear from you all. If you want to get involved, you can tweet us at WTID Pod, and you can comment on YouTube, or the best way is come up and have a chat with us over on X Spaces. It's really simple. Press that button on the bottom left to request to speak and I'll bring you up. It's going to be a busy one, so please do bear with me tonight. It might take a little bit longer to get around to everyone. Of course, we're going to be talking about the forum yesterday. That's what this show is all about. What did you make to the comments that Dejphon made throughout the evening? He's come out and said publicly that he's not spoken to Danny since December. He doesn't know what his targets are and he's waiting for Danny to come to speak to him. He also confirmed that Southampton had made contact regarding Danny Röhl, but wouldn't go into more detail. And there's clearly been a breakdown in their relationship, and it doesn't sound great, if we're being honest. Then we have that bombshell as well, the news that we all didn't want, the news that Shea Charles has been recalled from Southampton. A late midnight phone call to Chansiri confirmed that. Got to say, absolutely gutted. But where does that leave us now? Some saying that we can kiss goodbye to the top six. Do you agree? Well, at least we're going to have safe standing at Hillsborough. Yay! But yeah, before we kick things off, I just want to give my thoughts on it all. I'll be honest, I didn't have any kind of real expectations of the night going into it. I don't. It's the first one I've been to, but from what other people have said, nothing comes from these fans forum at all. Most said it was going to be a waste of time, and I think I have to kind of agree with you, to be honest. I thought that he might have had some answers kind of pre-prepped and ready, but you know, like I said, the majority of people were right. It was a complete waste of time, and most people said it was going to be, and yeah, it's nothing good came from it. He did say at the start he organised it because he wanted to find out what the problem was, why people were emailing him, being abusive towards him, which, by the way, is an absolute complete no-no. But I don't think anyone on that panel there yesterday actually listened. They'll all say that they did, but they didn't. Not once did anyone say that they understand the frustrations of the fan or whatever was suggested, which there was some decent suggestions at times. Not once did they say it was a good idea or that they would take it on board or take it away. It was all on the back foot, defensive all the time, and quite abrasive, to be honest. I thought the fans on the whole were quite respectful towards him, respected the fact he spent an awful amount of money, but I don't think, you know, that the panel, other than maybe the stadium operations manager, Richard Stanford, I don't think they respected us as fans at all. That was kind of my takeaway from the night. I thought Chansiri came for a bit of a fight. I don't think the fans did. I think most have just accepted that he's kind of here for the long haul. Well, I suppose 10 years is a bit of a long haul, but I think most fans were thinking, you know, one, how do we ensure that the club's going to be here in the next 12, 24, 36 months, maybe even longer? You know, how do we even potentially move into the top six? That was put forward a few times. And also, how do we ensure that this relationship between the chairman and manager is as good as it can be? Because at the moment, it seems like there just isn't one. I mean, I feel like that ever since Southampton have come in for Danny, which obviously was before January, you know, when was it? I think it was the 15th, weren't it, when Russell Martin got sacked. I think it's kind of after that where things have started to break down somewhat. Obviously, we don't know. It didn't really go into much detail, but the comments started at Borough. Borough was what, Boxing Day? And then ever since then, we've had those comments from Danny, and also on that the fact that Chansiri's people told him all about all the social media comments. He knew everything about what was on social media, but failed to tell him about what the manager and his which is his employee, has been saying in local media. It's not washing me one bit. He should know about what Danny Röhl is saying in the media about him specifically. The staff are more bothered about what fans are saying instead of what the manager's saying, which again I just find absolutely baffling. And not only that, we've got one of the best managers that we've had in a very, very, very long time, and yeah, they're just not talking, which is not good. Obviously, we want to speak to people from whatever your viewpoint is. I'm sure most people will share the same viewpoint. Another point as well I want to make is, obviously I speak to fans from other clubs. The amount of fans today that have heard about this is untrue. Not Sheffield Wednesday fans of other clubs. Have had Plymouth, have had Derby, Ipswich. Obviously we have had them down the road gloating. It's just embarrassing. Like it's not normal for this to happen, and everyone's just laughing at us at the moment, and that shouldn't be happening. I mean, I suppose why would you want to work with the boss like that? He has been pretty quiet since Danny's come in, but yeah, somebody's out. He would have known about his outburst recently, and he's at it again. But yeah, let's also bring Matt up. I've got Matt with me as well, and then we'll come to the floor. I've got loads of people that want to speak already. But Matt, yesterday, what an absolute shit show that was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, James. I'm sure there will be people who are, far angrier, have also far more rational thoughts than sort of like myself, definitely this evening. I still feel like 24 hours on, I don't really quite know what to make of it all, other than 3 out of the 4 people who were sat on that panel last night. We've directed all of our anger towards Dejphon Chansiri as the owner, and rightly so, because, ultimately, he's the person who controls everything at Hillsborough. He's the one who set it up so that he has to micromanage every decision, and you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth and say, I want this level of control and I want this, but also it's never my fault when it goes wrong. There were 2 other gentlemen sat next to him yesterday who, for what it's worth, actually came off probably the same way that the chairman was in terms of how they responded to fan questions.
They were very abrasive, I thought. Not once kind of accommodating. There might have been a few a little bit later on, but most of the questions that were put forward to him were met with quite, do you want to say arrogance? I don't know. Is that the word?
A lot of it seemed to be, well, you don't know. Like, you don't really know. Like, you don't actually know, which is fine, but we're not going to actually know because you never tell us any fucking thing. So,
Matt, do you own a business, Max? If you don't own a business,
sorry, I'm not. Yeah, sorry, Matt, I'm not qualified. I need to sell my house first as well.
Your opinion is not valid unless you own a business. So
it was just ridiculous. There was one moment from last night where it was Harry who asked a really well thought out and structured question, and 3 members on the panel just went for him and attempted to vilify and attack everything that he was saying. And he actually did really well to, I suppose, steady himself, compose himself, and actually not get drawn into what became actually a very, very heated, but one-sided heated discussion. And there was several examples of that last night. And it ultimately, it proves everything over and over again of what, me and you who discuss this weekly, everybody who rings into the debate show weekly, that fans obviously who discuss it through the hashtag or on our socials. What everybody thinks is just confirmed in, what was it, total 6-7 hours last night?
It felt like about 12, to be honest.
Yeah. To be fair, an hour of that was probably fag breaks, James. Sorry.
People said that the highlight would have been the pie and peas, and I think it probably was, to be honest. Yeah. We've got people that want to speak already. We've got lots of comments as well. Let's just read a few of the comments out. George says, Dejphon Chansiri, get out of our club. Hayden says, evening, James. What could you possibly be talking about tonight? Yes. it's definitely about the fans forum last night. Another one, Dejphon Chansiri, get out of our club. Chansiri out. Richard said he's useless. Wouldn't surprise me now if Danny Röhl leaves in the next couple of weeks. For the fans that did still back Chansiri, I'm pretty sure they don't anymore. Owen said Chansiri is a blade. Adam Swift, I was there and it was no surprise at all. Chansiri is a petulant child who is completely... He's left off the other words, so here we go. Completely out of touch. Why ever there isn't a translator there, I will never know. Forum has done nothing but piss everyone off. And then Sarah says, are we 100% sure that Shea's been recalled? Because as fans, we at least deserve this confirmation in black and white from the club.
Sorry, James. I can't. It's too early. It's too early for me to... I can't, like, genuinely, if anybody who does listen and has, understands my love for a player we had on loan last year, I mean, this is about to get 10 times worse.
Yes. Right, let's come to the people that have requested to speak. A reminder, you can press that request to talk button on the bottom left. Let's come to Rob first. Rob Oldfield. Rob, how's it going, mate? You all right?
I'm good, lads. Here.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Thank you very much. What do you want to say, mate?
How good last night, by the way.
Oh, box office. Absolute box office, weren't it?
I mean, I think I left before you. I left at like 11:30, midnight-ish.
You left before the main event.
Exactly. And I thought, shall I run back down and go back in my pyjamas? But I thought, no, I'll leave it. But no, it were catastrophic. I mean, one, you've got it in the middle of January. Transfer window, which clearly is just January to us. You've got a chairman sat there saying, I don't know what I've done wrong. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but what have you done for the last 6-7 years? When he stood up at the start, he said, my people say I need to do this and I need to do this. And I say, what have I done? And I'm like, do you look in the mirror? There were one point where every question, there were loads of good questions, and his body language were just disgusting. Like, half of the questions that we're asking, he'd be on his phone, he'd be talking to Alistair, he'd be talking to Trevor, and he just didn't seem like he cared. It seemed like it was just a box ticking exercise where, I need to do this for him. I'll go and I'll speak to a few fans. I'll tell them what they need to hear, and then they'll all go home. But 99% of those fans there last night, I believe, want him out. There were a few fans there that were biting at a few questions. I had one when I had my question, which we're not going into that, but I just think the man is an absolute fool. And when he's telling people to sell the house or don't come to the games if you don't like, that's not what a chairman should be doing.
No.
Yeah, it's not right, is it? And for me, like I was just saying before I brought you on, I felt like he didn't really want to listen. And I know I keep banging on about this. I've met him before, in a smaller setting, that more, the 6-7 people around a table, and I got that same feeling, like he didn't want to listen. He always wants to talk all the time, and he always wants to get his point across. And not because there was some good points made, weren't there, last night on a few various things. I don't know before you left, Rob, but one person said, because Chansiri actually opened up a little bit and was saying how he'd rather be with his family and things like that, which I totally get. He has got a young family and everything. And someone said to him, well, why don't you appoint a CEO to do the day-to-day running of the club then? And you can just do whatever you want. But he didn't really want that. He didn't, so you can't have it both ways. Look like both ways, can you, Rob?
He wants full control. He don't want anyone else doing anything else at the club. Like, he's got his two puppets in Trevor and Alistair sat there, and I was just like, the regulator's coming. I asked the question about the regulator, and all Trevor said was, "Yeah, we'll abide to it." So I was like, "Well, are you going to elaborate? Or are you going to tell us what you're going to do?" No, we'll comply. And I'm like, surely, as a forum of fans there, you're going to say, right, yeah, we're going to appoint this person, we're going to appoint that person for Danny Röhl, we're going to appoint this person, so Chansiri don't have to do this. Like, there was no elaboration on anything. it were either I do this, I do that, or it was just an outburst for half an hour.
Yeah. Did you expect anything else, Rob, going into it?
No, I expected the usual. This is my club. If you don't like it, blah blah blah, as we all heard last night. But I went to the very first one. I've been to other ones, and it's just the same over and over again. And I tweeted after half an hour when the first question were asked, and they were replying to the guy who asked the question about him and Danny Röhl, and you can just tell that he's no longer fit to run this club anymore. Now, even the most prolific defender of Chansiri cannot come away from that forum and say, you know what, good points tonight. The only good point from that was the possible safe standing. That was it.
Yeah, well, I did a poll. Obviously, I did a poll before, and I've done one after. Just trying to find it now. If we can scroll down far enough, 79% of people are anti-Chansiri, 15% pro, and 6% aren't sure.
Well, they're United.
I was just going to say, Rob, why are 15% United fans all just on this? Why? Get over it, man.
Yeah, and that's from 2,500 people voting as well, so it's a fairly decent sample size. But yeah, that's quite, you know, irrespective of what you think about 15%, even if they are Wednesday fans, the fact that 8 out of 10.
But one thing I've taken away from the whole meeting is he does want to sell the club apparently, but I had to put my house on Rightmove this morning, so we're halfway there.
Go on, James. Go on. I was just going to say that was, I thought, one of the most baffling things, because obviously we've heard him previously in the past talk about he's, like, if there was an offer made, I would think and consider selling the club. But then yesterday there seemed to be some concession of actually, he mentions the fact that he wants to spend more time with his son. He mentions the fact that he's happy to sell the club. But then when you actually started digging down into him, those who were questioning on that line yesterday about the sale of the club, it's all, well, you need to do this for me, which just screams back to that, you don't want to make judgments about an individual's character, but that entitlement that comes across in every sentence and statement that he seems to utter of, well, it's not my job to find a buyer. No, it is. Like, your job is to find a buyer. How did Milan Mandaric find you?
It's our job. It's our job, Matt.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah, sorry, mate. But Mandaric, for argument's sake, how did he find you? Like, how did you know that club was on the market? Because you have to advertise. Now, I'm not saying he's got to bang that on Rightmove, but I'm sure there'll be a couple of buyers. But it's just...
I think it needs to be put on Vinted more than Rightmove. But you know what though, as well, when he says, like, you need to find a buyer and things like that. That isn't just not how it works. Like, fans shouldn't have to bring in prospective owners to the football club. That's just not how it operates. But and also, let's be right about it. If you had the money to buy a football club, why would you buy Sheffield Wednesday? I mean, you might want Sheffield Wednesday, but imagine trying to get the club off of Dejphon Chansiri. It's never going to happen, is it? It's never. It's going to be an absolute minefield. He'll make it as difficult as humanly possible. Look how hard it was for Sheffield United to be sold. They're a far more attractive proposition than what we are. So I don't know. Rob, what was your kind of key takeaway from last night?
One sec. I need to have a long while to think about this. I thought the safety guy spoke well. That was about it.
I didn't say positive, Rob. Just what was the main thing that you took from it all?
That I can no longer go to the football club if I don't like Chansiri.
Yeah, well, he did come out and apologise after he got a telling off.
He was told to do that. He was 100% told to do that. But going back to the whole Danny Röhl situation, it's got to go way, way further down than what's happened with Southampton. Like, it can't just be the Southampton thing. It's got to be further down the line. It was said by Rob Staten tonight. He believes that it's further down. We'll see at the press conference tomorrow whether he gets answers, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's cancelled from the other night.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think when he does speak, he just needs to be super politician, doesn't he? And just bat
He'll have
everything.
Trevor next to him. He'll have puppet number 1 next to him. Give him a little elbow when he gets asked a question about Chansiri. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. Rob, thanks for coming on, mate. Do really appreciate it. Stick around if you can. I've got Harry that I'm going to bring up next. Just going to read a few more messages out. SWFC lad says, how do I request to speak? Head over to Twitter Spaces. So find us on Twitter at WTRD Pod. Find the Twitter space. I think it's pinned to our profile. Join there and then just press the request to talk button on the bottom left and you can come up and we can have a chat. Let's read some more of these tweets out. Matt said, when you live in Melbourne and someone at work asks, is your chairman a nutter? It tells you how far reaching it is. Mark, let's also not forget that he said he's not asked for money from fans. This is how clueless the bloke is. He doesn't give a toss about us. We're just customers to him. There has to be a way of getting him out of our club. Enough is enough. Alex says, evening guys, I'm absolutely flabbergasted after that last night. He's totally shot himself in the foot and made us the fans lose total respect for him now after this. Henry says it's just disgusting. How can you run a club and be that immature? He sees the ticket price he gives us and we get more than 23,000 tickets every other weekend. Atrocious. Danny says he has to go. DC. Stuart will be there long after he scurried back to where he came from. Just wonder what he will leave us. Gary, the only way we've any chance of getting shot of the full is not attending the game. Simple. Unfortunately for me, I've just got my season ticket for next season. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. Everyone's just renewed the season ticket. Alistair even said that 90% of people renew in that first phase, and then this bombshell comes out as well. John said, can't see what he hopes to achieve. He claims to not want to sell the club. After he has finished with it, there'll be nothing left to buy. Steve, we need to get to 50 points as soon as possible. Can you imagine Windas's view at training? Paul, why are we all surprised of him? Loads more comments as well. Do keep him coming in. Let's come to Harry next, and then we'll bring Peter up as well. Harry, how's it going, mate? You all right? Harry, do you want to unmute yourself, mate?
Oh, sorry, mate.
It's all right, Harry. How's things? You all right?
Do you know what? I don't know about you, but I have felt mentally and physically exhausted today. Absolutely drained from the whole thing. Like, I feel like I've had 10 pints last night and I'm recovering from like a severe hangover. Oh, I've just felt so rough when I've been at work today. It's literally like I've been on a massive bender and I'm recovering today.
Yeah, it was a big session, weren't it? And it was just kind of, he said one thing and then you think, well, it can't get any worse, and it does seem to get progressively worse with the way that they're answering some of the questions. I mean, some of the questions, you know, it was getting a bit long in the tooth, asking the same thing over and over again. But that's what you get in these sorts of environments. But you know, there was some fairly simple questions just weren't getting answered, were they, Harry?
There's some simple questions, but I suppose we've had these forums for 10 years now, and I think I've been to most of them. And I went to the one with you as well, James, where there's only 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah.
And they're all identical. And I bet if you went back and look at the highlights of all the fans' forums of the last 10 years, you will not find a single positive outcome from any meeting at all. Like, it's just constant negative outcomes from these meetings. I honestly wish that it doesn't have them. I mean, it's one of you can't not go because you just have to see what happens. But at the same time, you dread them because you know it's going to be an awful outcome. And I've just been thinking about when Chansiri speaks, and there's kind of a direct correlation between how we do as a football club and his involvement and his public statements. Did you notice how in the first year or so we had the committee guys involved, and Chansiri was pretty quiet and we were quite successful. In the year we went up from League One, we never heard from Chansiri, completely in the background. Last summer, all the public statements happened, obviously, about Darren Moore and stuff like that, and everything fell apart again. And he appointed Danny Röhl, things went quiet, and we had some more success. He's been really quiet probably for the last 9 months or so, and surprise, surprise, we start doing all right on the field again. But as soon as he opens his mouth, everything goes wrong every single time, and there's so many things that he's got to keep in house. Just be a professional business person. Don't hang your dirty laundry out in front of the media in front of your fans, in front of other football clubs. The way he's literally goading like Southampton Football Club last night, saying how if other football clubs damage us, we'll go and damage them. I don't know how old he is. He might be in his 50s, but you're running a football club, a business. You're not in a school playground after petty little fights with fans. And he falls out with everyone, doesn't he? We've had 10 years now where you cannot maintain a working relationship with anyone. He fell out with the committee in the first year. He fell out with Tony Pulis. Fell out with Catherine Mayer. Fell out with every single person on the board of the EFL. He falls out with the media. He falls out with the fans. Clearly falling out with Danny Röhl now as well. Danny Röhl is the one and only asset we have. He has a £5 million buyout clause, and the way he's going, they'll probably end up sacking him and forfeiting £5 million from that. I feel.
Do you know what it is, Harry? For me, he makes all his decisions based on emotion, and I think that is his biggest downfall, and it's something that you shouldn't do that in football, but let alone in a business. Do you know what I mean? Your decisions should be well thought out and consulted, and everything like that. But he just does everything on a whim, and that's kind of why we're in the situation that we're in, because something gets said, he falls out, and then now we're where we are. Do you know what I mean? And then we're potentially throwing away something that's one of the best managers that we've had in a very, very, very long time, if not one of the the best, or potentially, and he just could be thrown down the drain.
He's so contradictory with what he says as well. Like, people are asking perfectly good questions, and you get your head bitten off. He's in defence mode straight away, or people just making quite good, respectful ideas and things like that. And again, you get battered away with things like, one minute he's saying nothing's his fault and he can't do these things if people don't come to him with ideas. The next minute, people are giving ideas, and you're basically being told off by the head teacher of a school. And he's saying people have got no right to tell him to sell a football club. The next sentence is, well, no one's brought a buy to me. You can't have it both ways. Which one is it? And the guy comes across like a petulant kid. Like last night, how many times did he say, it's my club, I'm the boss, everyone else is my employee? I mean, there's probably no point, but I said to him at about 11 o'clock, I said, why don't you get on the phone to Danny Röhl and get him in the office tomorrow morning and tell him you'll work with him and come up with a plan together? Why are you waiting for him? I mean, I'm not saying Danny Röhl has not come to him before, but just why don't you get on the front foot, and try and do something productive? And again, back, it's my club. I'm the boss. He's the employee. If he wants something, he has to come to me. Your behaviour is having a direct negative impact on the football club. You must know that. Stop being so petty and big-headed and just grow up, quite simply. He's telling me last night that he's seen my social media posts and stuff like that. But you're honestly telling me you don't know anything about what Danny Röhl's been saying in the media?
100%.
Come on.
100%, Harry. And that point that you just raised there about this, it's the ego surrounding, well, you all have to come to me, I'm the owner. He asks you to go through or work with the recruitment team, but then this is, if you are, I mean, I'm not a manager of a business, obviously, as we all know, but it is, if I need somebody to do something, or I'm hoping somebody does something in any walk of life, I'm not on about business here, you go and ask them, oh, what's going on with this? Oh, I wonder what's happening with this. And when you were mentioning those transfers, as you said, and rightly said there, Harry, that reiteration of, oh, well, they need to come to me. Why? Why does everybody constantly need to come to you? If you were proactive in this, you would also initiate those discussions. It's a two-way relationship. It's a two-sided street. It's not just one. Yeah. Sorry, James, for just jumping in there. I just thought it was a really, really good point.
Yeah. Harry, what do you make to the fact that he's not spoken to Danny since December as well?
It's just embarrassing, isn't it? It's just another example where his petty behaviour is having a negative impact on the football club. We've got a rare opportunity to really do something this season, and because he's acting like a spoiled child, he's probably going to end up blowing it. And I know you're going to be busy tonight, James, so I'll just make one more point and move on. But last night, when I asked my question, I was fairly critical about the commercial side of the club and things like tickets. And obviously, you've got Alistair and Mr. Chansiri kind of dismissing the question, looking away from me, looking at each other, smirking and rolling their eyes. Completely unprofessional and unnecessary again. At times, almost quite goading and rude, I suppose. And I just want to compare that, and I want to give some praise to the commercial manager at the club, James Todd. He was the guy walking around with a mic last night, and he came over to me and spoke to me during the break. And to be fair, given the fact I was criticising some of the commercial deals, you would have expected him to perhaps be on the back foot and to be a bit abrasive. He wasn't. He was completely the opposite. He was welcoming. He was friendly. He spoke openly, honestly about some of the things the football club had been doing. He was honest about what we could do better. He said he wants open dialogue with fans. He wants their support and ideas. And I just kind of like compare that to the response I got from the owner of the football club, and it's night and day. Like, and I just feel for these guys that are having to work under them kind of constraints, under that kind of manager, because we all know there's only so much people like James Todd and anyone else that's working in the football club can do, because they're going to have their hands tied by the owner. Everything's going to go through him. And that's one of the problems we've got with the structure of the football club. And as we all know, he's the boss. It's his way or the highway. And it's just not going to improve, though, is it?
No, one thing before you go, Harry, as well. What did you make to the statement that he made that he always backs his managers as well?
Well, it's bizarre as well, because alongside that, he said that Danny was after 6 players last night, but he gave him 11. Well, if Danny was only after 6 players last night, we would have started with a squad of about 16 players this season, wouldn't we? You honestly telling me that Danny Röhl wanted a squad of 16? No. Don't worry, Mr. Chansiri. We'll use the under-13s for the rest of the squad. I only want 6 players. Like, what is he on about? Honestly, like, saying I've given you 11 players when he only wanted 6 players, and then he says I've supported and I always give them everything they want. What? So you're telling me that Danny Röhl didn't want to get centre half last summer? Like, centre half, I think anyone with half a brain at the football club would have known that centre half was probably the main priority. We all knew that we needed someone to play with Bernard this season.
Well, Chansiri doesn't know what the targets are, Harry. He doesn't know that we need a centre half. So yeah,
it's pathetic, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah,
Harry, massive thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate it. I'm going to come to Peter in a second. I'm just going to read a few comments that we've had on Twitter Spaces as well. Scott said, "Do you think Danny will be in charge for Sunday? It's clear from last night that his relationship with Chansiri is non-existent." Matt, just on that, do you think there's a distinct worry that Danny Röhl might not be here? Perhaps not Sunday, but in the near future.
Summer, yes. Throughout the season, I'm not entirely sure. The summer is a big worry, but again, it would take an individual walking away from the manager, from the owner, which hasn't happened. Despite no matter what has gone on, managers haven't left. Now, I would argue that in the summer, if we were to finish in the place where we are currently, which is 10th, Danny Röhl's stock is never going to be higher. And actually, if he were to leave a job, he can have a nice couple of months holiday and then go back into an opportunity when it comes up. It also wouldn't surprise me if the Southampton thing doesn't really work out. They sacked their manager currently in September. He's just left. Hey, presto, no compensation. Shay Charles in the midfield, me crying. But yeah, it is what it is, really. Like, it wouldn't surprise me, but also he has got another, two and a half years left on that deal that was signed. So I'm not entirely sure is the honest answer. Walking away from any job is hard. Walking away from a job like being the manager of a football club, I can imagine, is even harder.
Yeah, I'll just read a few more comments out. Wayne said, "The problem is, what can we as fans do? I would love to boycott until he's gone, but I don't want to miss the games. He is bizarre, such a terrible owner." Kelly says, "Okay, so what can we do as fans? This has given me such a headache." Matt, 5,000 customers at Coventry for the FA Cup, full away ends around the country, full of customers. Get him out, waste of space. Lee says, "Just wonder what advice he's taking. They seem like yes men, but in big companies, directors tend to only get the answers they want to hear." Niels said, "The club is rotten to the core. This has been going on for the last 15 years, plus way before Chansiri took over. The GM and his side monkeys have been there the last 10 years, plus what is their job titles on a day-to-day basis. Yes, Chansiri isn't the best, but this has been going on for years." Gavin says, "If Danny leaves, there's only one man." Steve Bracknell. John's.
Sorry, James, that won't happen. He's just posted their kit's gone through the wash and it's come out pink. So, I mean, it'll be fuming with kit staff and all the rest of it at Hillsborough if that happens.
Yeah, he would, yeah. John says, even the part about standing pissed me off. Made out they were doing it for the atmosphere, when actually they're doing it because T1 block is going to be shut if not. When Chansiri said this will be done next year, the other three woke up and looked like they'd shit themselves. Yeah,
that was funny.
To be fair on that, they did. Alistair did say that the easiest thing to do is to put the safe stand in because they have got issues there. But yeah, Freddie said, any chance you could talk about Shea Charles' links to United? Is it all agent talk? We'll get onto that in a bit. If we have, there's loads more comments as well. Do keep them all coming in, of course. Let's come to Peter then, if we can. Peter, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, all right, mate. A bit tired, but I'm sure I'll get over it. It's probably not the last time we're going to have these sort of discussions, is it?
No, probably not. If recent form is to carry on, but yeah, what? Go on then. What was your key takeaway? You left there yesterday. What was your
my key takeaway? That the pie and peas were amazing. That's about it.
Gravy were a bit thin though, Pete, if I'm being perfectly honest. But other
yeah,
than
it was
that,
a bit
all
water. But no, I'd not eaten for about 5 hours, so I was just about ready for it. So, but that is genuinely my key takeaway. I think to everybody who were there, it just reaffirmed what we already know about Mr. Chansiri as a person. If he's not in control, then he just doesn't want to know. And it's yet again, we had to listen to his inane ramblings of I always back my coaches, and like Matt's just said, Harry's just said quite rightly, when the manager wanted 5 or 6, I gave him 11 players. Inevitably, we got onto the Forestieri subject. Surprisingly,
Peter, did you have Forestieri on your bingo card? That's what we need to know.
No, I can't believe we didn't mention Jordan Rhodes. Is that how did we? Did we not mention? Did we mention that when I fell asleep? I don't know.
Do you know what? There was actually a tapping, hot water on the north. Nobody even he mentioned that himself. Yeah. Nobody even said it, and he brought that one up. So
to come back down to earth, sadly, and into reality, I do think. And I do think perhaps it is reality. Perhaps this is not a dream. I do think that I think the cast the die has already been cast, so to speak, because some of the comments were quite chillingly put in his words. He was when he said he was very brave to say what he said to the Radio Sheffield people. I think he's already pissed about it. I think he's gone. I think Chansiri's already sacked him, and Danny knows that. And I think the only reason he's not walked away is a financial reason. And I would sadly disagree with Matt about when will Danny Röhl perhaps leave. I think he'll leave at the next opportunity of a mid to low table Premiership or a half decent Championship side, or even a decent European team, and he'll be gone. You said at the outset that every Tom, Dick and Harry knows what's gone off at Sheffield 6 last night because of...
We are a laughing stock, Peter. We are a laughing stock amongst the footballing community. Everyone knows about the chairman. If you ask me, I probably know a handful of chairmen by name. Everyone knows who the chairman of Sheffield Wednesday is, and not for the right reasons either.
Yeah, again, at one point that I've not heard anywhere else, but I just think it was... If he turns up last night and unbelievably puts his hands up and say, yeah, I got that wrong, I'm going to try and address that, just on a couple of points, then would have all stood up and took a bit more notice and got a little bit of respect back. But he hasn't done that. So he's scored another. Well, not only with his comments, but indirectly he's scored another spectacular own goal. He gets so many opportunities of these win-win situations. He complained at the start about cash flow, and we both know, we've spoke about it many times about having these food deals in the on the concourses to get the cash flowing in, and giving tickets away or cheaper tickets to get the cash flow going better. And when Alistair mentioned the fact 90% of us season ticket holders buy on phase one, so that means, by my calculations, I reckon the club has had somewhere between £6 and £8 million in already pre-Christmas in season ticket sales.
But just on that, if 90% of people buy season tickets in phase one, why do we have to have 45 phases? And why does the price have to go up by 50 quid every single time if nobody's actually buying them in them phases? Why don't you just have 2 phases and have it early bird and then just phase 2? That's it.
For me, that's a sales tactics. They continually ram it down your throat, and also they play on the fear factor.
But it don't work though, does it? Because only 10% of people buy it out of that phase 1.
I don't know, James. Sorry, Peter. I don't know, James. They had a 31% increase in season ticket. 31% increase in season tickets and attendances. I think it was. I can't remember the wording since Chansiri's coming in. So from a business perspective, it's just playing the other side of it. It's not saying I agree with it. It's just saying maybe it does work.
Just for clarity, and so people know where I've got my figures from, I'm basing it on about 16,000 season ticket holders, which I think is a little bit low, because I was told at the last Fans Forum 2 years ago in 2023 that we had just shy of 20,000 season ticket holders. So at that time, so even at 16,000 season ticket holders, less 10% who haven't bought, you're talking 14,500 average season ticket price, 500 quid to go on the cop, some a bit more, but you're talking best part of between 6 and 8 million quid in revenue.
Fucking hell, Peter. Sorry, that was fast maths. Jesus.
Yeah, so I've been working. I've done sod all work today, Matt. So like Harry said, my head's been an absolute shed. I've been scouring. I've just had a response about 5 minutes ago from the Southampton version of Alex Miller, asking for. I asked him if he got any update on the Shea Charles.
Does he look like Toadie as well from?
He hasn't got it. He hasn't got his face on, but he actually said that as far as he's aware, it's a recall with a 7-day clause, and there's been no announcement. So.
Just on that was just quite a fitting end to the night, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think that had been done. I think that was done at 5 o'clock, and they knew that, and they kept it from us. He's just popped out for a crafty fag or a vape, and he's walked back in with a face as long as Norfolk Street and told us all. You know what I mean? It's like done and dusted, and he's done the dirty deed and told us. I'm just sorry that it's all transpired how it has. Yes, there's a few conspiracies in there, but I don't think I'm far away. And the more that comes out, like you've quite rightly said, there were constant trip-ups throughout the night. He's made a statement. He turned up to see what the problem was with his manager. He's not listened one jot. Every question, like Harry said, turned into a confrontation. And there was no sort of, well, maybe I did get that wrong, and let's have a look at this, guys.
Peter, what's the end game for Chansiri? Like, where do you see it ending?
The end game he's hoping for is a buyer to come along and to buy it. But we both know nobody's going to be daft enough to give him anywhere near what he wants. I think he'll end up. I think it was Sups who said it. He could save himself 50 million quid by walking away now. He'd save 50 million quid straight away. And you're right, he's done his 152 million, but he ain't got 52 million to find next year.
Yeah, that'd obviously be over 2 years. Although it was 9 million, weren't it, last year that he that he lost? But I know I get your point. Like,
I think his end game. I think he wants out, despite what he says that he loves the club and his family love it and all that. If he loved it that much and he's getting so much personal grief, then he'd be out, because he's not taking steps to address that, is he?
No. But if he just come and said, "Oh, I'm open to people purchasing the club," it could still take another year. But do you know what? But it would just. I think everyone would just be thinking, like, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because at the moment, nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows.
The accusation what he laid at the door of one of the current sponsors, who allegedly had not paid his current invoice with the club, and that's why they'd not entertained him as a shirt sponsor or potential owner, I think that was very close to the very close to the knuckle. He was a bit probably a bit unwise in saying what he said. But like I say, it's done now. Like I said right at the start, I think it's a done deal. I think Danny will be gone by the end of January. I really do, because he won't stand for. He also said we have to take precautions to protect the club at all costs, which I understand. But the number of times he said it leads me to believe that they're already lining another manager up, and they're already lining potential transfer targets.
Yeah, but he says that, Peter, protect the club at all costs, and what all he's done in that 5-6 hours is just damage the club. And again, once again, remove any sort of positivity, because let's be right, we're 10th. I know I said that I think 10th is where I think we'll finish at the end of the season, but it could have easily not gone as well as what it has done. We've got a chance of getting in the top 6, which you'd have snapped your hands off if you'd have said that. Come Christmas time, heading into the new year, if you've got a chance of sneaking into that top 6, would you take it? 100%. And that's where we are at the moment. And then all of a sudden now we're going into this game on Sunday against Leeds. People think we're just going to get absolutely battered 5, 6, 7-0. What are the players going to think as well? They said they don't listen to it, and they said they turn a blind eye to it. That's a load of bollocks as well.
Absolute rubbish. Yeah, absolute rubbish. They're all on social media like we are. They're looking at the comments about, and they'll no doubt they'll take the mickey out of each other when they go in training next year. Did you see what so and so called you about that miss, and when you should have? They do it. Just like they know. At the end of the day, they're normal guys like me and you, James. Do you know what I mean? That's all they are.
Yeah.
And there's nothing saying. Yes, some of them don't have their own accounts, but they'll have friends and relatives that are on it, and they'll be getting fed bits about what's happened. And there were a few unsavoury tales knocking around last night, which is disappointing to hear about long-serving players. But it's like, it's a. I think we're in a very, very sad state for yet again, and it's all so preventable. It really is. But
yeah, definitely, Peter. Do stick around
mate.
If you can. Thanks for your comments as always. I'm just going to read a few more comments out, and then we're going to come to Paul next. Let's have a look. Philip, do we have a PR team, or did they walk out halfway through the meeting? We have a director of communications. He was nudging Chansiri quite a few times, telling him to stop
not
talking.
Communicates.
Yes, on few things. Danny, we are a laughing stock to them down the road. It makes me sick. Matt, he seems to be super emotive, and when he thinks he's being disrespected, he tries to have a shot back. Will, can't believe what is going on with his football club. Something needs to change very quickly. Finders Beepers, great name. A few years ago, I asked DC to help with a charity event I was doing. I said I wasn't sure if he was the right person to ask. He said, you should know that I'm the person you should ask, and refused to help because I wasn't a season ticket holder. Told me that I needed to buy a season ticket, otherwise he couldn't help me. I just thought it was a really odd reaction. Matt is talking about leadership versus ownership. DC is an owner, not a leader.
Yeah. I agree, 100%.
Yeah, we will. Freddie's asking about Shea Charles. We'll get to that in a bit. Will, we need to bring the youngsters in and see what we can do, because we clearly haven't got a clue who we want in. I think we know what we want in, but they're clearly not talking to each other, are they? Which is just a big problem in itself. John, why does DC hold a forum when all he does is berate his staff and the fans, lie about what he knows and doesn't know, then kill any momentum and feel good factor around the club? John, I have no idea why he holds these forums, because it never ever works. Yeah. Stephen, only surprised Carlton Palmer was not the main focus of Chansiri's ramble. Yes, anyone who had Leighton Palmer on their bingo card would have been mightily disappointed, as that one didn't come up. So many more comments. Do keep them all coming in. Knack said, I can see Chansiri doing what Rotherham owner did, refused to give Hillsborough Stadium back as he bought it, didn't he? Yeah, that is a worry. Personally, I don't think it'll come to that, because obviously the stadium is quite a big part of the sale. But no, well, you never know. Could happen. Let's come to Paul then. Paul, how's things? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. What do you want to say, Paul?
Well, I just poured myself a drink on a Thursday night because I don't usually drink in the house. But
you've waited this long, Paul, to pour it? I thought you might have poured it about half 8 this morning.
Just like I didn't go last night, but it's just a cut on my paste. cut and paste of when I did go, except he contradicts himself so many times. What I want to say and what I feel really passionate about as a Wednesday fan is...
Paul, just can you get a bit closer to your microphone or something? It's a bit quiet, that's all.
Is that better?
That's much better, yeah.
What I want to say as a Wednesday fan is, if Danny Röhl goes, well, there's got to be a reaction from the fan base, because this is the best chance. All we're going to get is another journeyman manager after Danny Röhl that says, yes, Mr. Chansiri, no, Mr. Chansiri. And we're just never going to progress. You know, because if we get to where we are, like we are with Danny Röhl now, and it's under another manager, they'll just come in for that manager, and Mr. Chansiri will annoy that manager, and we're just going to go on and on and on in this rut. We've got to stand behind the manager and actually stand behind this guy and make it known that if he walks, so do we. Because it can't go on like this. I actually don't want to go back to that stadium if Röhl goes, not because I'm a Danny Röhl is the be-all and end-all. Obviously, the club's bigger, but it's just what this means. This basically means that Chansiri is trying to be bigger than the club. No matter what he says, he's got his name on the fucking stand. Do you know what I mean? He will kick back. I asked him a question a couple of years ago, and it was after Darren Moore had gone, and I just said, you know, what about the communication between the club and the fan base? And he laughed, and I'm just like, how do you even know how to write your name? I'm like, you know, how as a businessman, it's the worst possible. He's got two assets at Sheffield Wednesday, and he's pissed them both off, apparently. You know, arguably Danny Röhl and the fan base. Unless the fan base do something, and you know, full respect to Rob and the team, they're trying actually to do something, because the club is dying. We've got one of the best young managers probably in Europe or the world wanting to develop the club, and he's not. I bet he's not asking for loads. My personal opinion is Danny Röhl's gone. He's actually said before that I want to replace the players we've got with better. It's no good replacing them with the same. I want to replace them with better. You know, we're pulling Marvin Johnson out at 34-year-old every game. We're pulling poor Barry Bannon out at 35-year-old. We're not progressing. We're just replacing. And I think, for me, I just get the opinion, this is just my opinion, that Chansiri has got those players that he says he's got in case anything happens. He's gone to Danny Röhl and says, this is what you can have. And Röhl's probably turned around and missed all the Southampton stuff and gone, they're not good enough. And it's either them or the highway.
Yeah, that is a distinct possibility, because I mean, what do you make, Paul, to the fact that he's not spoken to Danny since December? He doesn't know what players he wants, and he's waiting for Danny to come to him. There's clearly a disagreement in there.
It tells you everything you need to know about how our club is run. I've always said this for a long time. It's run like a fucking sweet shop. You know, there's about 5 people there at the club that are probably overworked. Alistair, Trevor Braithwaite, which, you know, no disrespect to Trevor Braithwaite, but I don't really want to know about an energy drink the day after. And then I knew what was coming after that. What is it after that? After we've had a bad night? Oh, the under-18s. Fuck's sake. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's Comedy Central. For me, it's just so poor. This guy... He's got to sell the club. I mean, I'm not going to sell the club, put it up for sale. It's not for me to put it up for sale. Yes, it is. How, like Peter said earlier, how did you buy it? You bought it because Mandarich, you know, was actively selling it. But what's it going to take? Otherwise, we're going to lose our club. Or at some point, it's going to... If Röhl goes, we're going to get another Joss or another manager from the Scandinavian Z League. You know, and we're going to be watching Jimmy Mamowski or something from the Latvian Z League coming on the right wing. You know, it's just poor. We all know what's going on. And you know, Danny Röhl, I've backed Danny Röhl. Well, how haven't we got the 4th lowest wage budget?
Yeah, it's sixth lowest, I think it is. But yeah, it's well down there.
Maybe he has backed him, James. Maybe he has backed him, but it's not to the level that he needs to be backing now. And if it's all this, I want my money back, Tough shit. I went to the casino last night, put it all on red, and guess what? Black came in, I've lost. Just done.
100%, Paul, and that's the biggest thing for me is, by his nature, from what we've seen for 10 years, is it strikes me that Chansiri is a gambler. I suppose you are in any business that again, I wouldn't know, I'm not a business owner, but again, it strikes me as, sorry James, I just feel like I have to reiterate that a lot. It strikes me with any decision that he makes, he bets and hedges his bets on that the best possible outcome is the only solution. And when it doesn't happen, he doesn't have plan B, C, D, E. Like you and Peter were mentioning earlier, James, about Fernando Forestieri. That was 8 years ago. Like it was legitimately, this was 8 years ago that this player started kicking off. It was 10 years ago when this player was brought in. Everybody else has moved on. Like we're dealing with the here and now. And as you said, Paul, it's that replacement of players. It's not just getting a body in for body's sake. It's actually having, if we've had someone like Bannon at the club for coming up to a decade now, you've known this is coming. We've all known this is coming for like the last 3-4 years. You knew you needed to go out and get a replacement for him. And what you haven't done
as the manager.
Yeah. And that's the agreed, Paul.
You know, the management's the same. There's no way on earth he knew what he would get with Danny Röhl. No way on this earth. For a start, he invited the best, the manager. The best thing about him was his trainers, Cisco. That's what I'm trying to say is, apart from Carvajal, who had possibly the worst CV I've ever seen, that come to Hillsborough with the best transfer budget I've ever seen. Apart from him, what manager hasn't he pissed off?
Yeah.
Or what manager has he brought that's been at the level that we've required? Joss wasn't good enough. Cisco wasn't even there. Pulis obviously was at a level that he told him what he needed, fell out with him. Steve Bruce arguably fell out with him. Danny Röhl arguably fell out with him. How long is it going to go before the fan base goes, you know what? No.
There's a common denominator, Paul, in all of this, isn't there? And it's him. Everyone's falling out with him. That's what happens all the time. And this is what I keep saying. I know banging on about CEO, director of football, and he kind of referenced it yesterday, saying this. You want me to bring these people in all the time, so he kind of knows it's coming. But you look at the clubs now in the Championship, Premier League, like they've all got these people because they're making business decisions. Do you know what I mean? Director of football making football decisions. So
Where
that
was Piaxo last night? Was Piaxo not on there last night?
He wasn't. No, I think he was in his earpiece though, just telling him what to say. But yeah, but do you know what I mean? You have these people in place to make the business run. Director of football, he's bring this type of player in, this philosophy, this type of manager, look at all that sort of stuff, so that you can be a continuation and you have a plan. I mean, the other thing as well, Paul, what did you think to his plan that he's got?
Well, it doesn't concern me, does it, or any of the other fans, so it doesn't really matter. I'll tell you what plan I've got, keeping me 47 quid in my pocket until I actually see a player that's actually worth seeing 47 quid's worth of a team. What I get, in his defence, he has backed Röhl a little bit. I mean, I've never seen a manager with as many training staff. I get that. But, again...
But do you know that, though, Paul? I think he was backed into a corner a little bit. We were 10 games in, having not won a game at all, 3 points. You bring in Danny Röhl in, and I think he just had to, he just had to do exactly what he said, really. I think that's not on...
He's not got a plan, has he?
Chansiri's not gone, I'm going to bring in all these people and all these staff. Danny Röhl's asked for it, and I think he's just panicked and just given into his demands, because I don't think he really had an option.
What annoys me is, right, we're in all this, we owe all this money, right? Well, tell you what, let's have a look at who we owe it to, because apparently whatever lowest we are with the players. Okay, so we're paying a rent for the ground. Who owns the ground? You own the ground. So you dictate how much rent we pay. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, how much rent are we paying? Oh, we're in this much debt now. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I'm going to that stadium like we all do, and the floodlights don't look like they lit up properly. The colour of the top of the stand needs a paint. The ground's tired. It's going to really need some TLC soon. We go to a fans forum, we don't get any sense whatsoever. We've got the best, I keep going back to it because this guy has, you were talking about the £6 million or something through transfers earlier. What about the 8 million quid he got from staying in the Championship that Röhl saved him?
Yeah.
That's 8 million. Where's that gone? Arguably 2.5 million on Ugbo, if that's the case, because I think it was undisclosed, wasn't it? What I'm trying to say is, all these, Chansiri said something very dangerous again last night, what I thought, and it was something that people view it differently. But when he said, I've got a list of players anyway, oh, great. You know what I mean? Regardless of manager, don't worry, I've got a list of players anyway, which I think he always had. And I think it's the fact that Danny Röhl wants to build something and he wants to strengthen the side, not just bring players in. I mean, we shouldn't be having to rely on Marvin at left back to play 3 games over Christmas at 34. As fit as the lad might be, there's no other alternative. And that's not just because Firmino's injured, because he's not a left back anyway. But it's just not. It just something needs to happen. I know Sheffield United get bought for 100 million quid. Chansiri's valuation, by the way, I've seen the funny. I don't know who's done it. It might be Rob. I don't know who's done this tonight, but who put up for sale sign up outside of Hillsborough?
I think that's an old picture. That one. It's not.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's from it's from last year. That one, but there was a banner on Penistone Road outside the shop after. Around about 11 o'clock last night, so that was definitely there. But no, the for sale sign was last year, I believe.
I just think if Danny Röhl walks or goes, like Peter mentions he could do, which I think we all believe he could, it's no good going back to where we are now with this money, with this chairman, because all we are as customers, and we'll not have his club back. We'll just get another journey manager. We'll just get a load of players that we hope are going to be good, and we'll just struggle and struggle and struggle, and the club will just slowly die because the season tickets will just peter out.
I think Rob might want to have to say something. Rob, you there? Rob, you there? I don't think he's there. But no, Paul, what do you? I'm just going to read a few more comments out, Paul. One from Scott. This forum has probably killed our season. Do you agree with that, Paul?
Well, yeah, exactly. I do. Yeah, 3 points off the top 6. Shea Charles now gone back, arguably going to Sheffield United, which will be the massive kick in the nuts, right? What on earth is he doing? It's almost like we are just a game. We are just a game. I don't even think he wants to go up. I don't think he wants to go up. I think we're just a toy. I think he says stuff to wind us up. I think a lot of the things is misinterpreted in his defence. But I think that why would you try and not support a young manager that's got us from relegation and saved your 8 million quid to a major 8 million quid to I remember something really interesting after the Peterborough game. I was sat in front of the chairman, and I turned round when we obviously won on penalties, and people were shaking his hand, and I said, "Well done, Mr. Chairman," because credit where credit's due. I turned it down. Emotions were high. Well done, Mr. Chairman, and he turned around and said, "Well, we should be winning that, shouldn't we, with the squad?" I mean, come on, mate. You've just won 6 million quid. Oh well, I bought a ticket. Do you know what I mean? It's like, where's the emotion in the guy? Last night, there's 300, 250, 300 people sat in front wanting answers because we're worried about the situation of the club, the North Stand, or various other things like, why ain't there any sugar for my tea when I've just walked in at 5 to 3? It's just a mess, and somebody needs to get hold of it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. What's the next steps then, Paul, for you?
He needs to publicly sell the club. Come out and publicly do it. Don't, when I said I went to the forum a couple of years ago, it was the same thing. Well, if somebody comes and offers me money, I'll sell it. But he also said, if anybody wants to help the club, let us know. At the same time, Liam Dooley held a meeting. I sat in a meeting a few days later with some really interesting businessmen that supported the club. And some of them had great ideas. A couple of them were multimillionaires and they got all these great businesses. And none of them, I believe, came to fruition because our chairman won't go for that. Or that might not happen there. Or this. So it was a complete waste of their time, his time and my time. What needs to sell is to him publicly put up the club publicly for sale. Then at least... Because he said, if all the fans don't want me, now you guys, how many fans are going to want him after last night, after this?
Not many. Paul, do stick around if you can. Thanks for your comments. Do always appreciate. I'm going to come to James, but again, I'm just going to read a few more comments out before we do that. Lamini Pie said it's all down to ego. Röhl is too popular now and Chansiri doesn't like it. Finders Beepers says we need to pick a game and just everybody not turn up. It needs to be made a spectacle of because that's what he's doing to our club. We need to take back control. Just on that, Matt, do you think he'll care if that happens?
Yes, because the only thing that I personally believe that affects him is what happens to his pocket. That's my personal opinion. I think a one-off would be incredibly impactful and, would show a real statement. But we've seen statements, we've seen yellow banners, we've seen, like yellow flyers and stuff like that. I think that is a really good start. But ultimately, the only thing that, my personal belief that will drive him away from this is when, what was the figure that they mentioned last night? Was it 27,000 average or something like that for last year in terms of figures? When that drops back down to what it was when he took over, which was 19? Yeah. Like that, in my personal opinion, that is the only thing, and that isn't going to happen at the minute because, definitely in my Sheffield Wednesday supporting lifetime, it's a really odd time because people seem to be desperate to go and watch football, and getting an away ticket is gold dust, and being in Hillsborough feels really important. Yet every single person who we've spoke to this evening feels so disconnected from the owner of the football club. And I'm not putting the owner and the actual football club together. They're two separate entities to me. But that to me is really, really bizarre. But yeah, I think the only way that you do it is by hitting him in his pocket.
Yeah, I'm just looking at average attendances. Back in 2011, it was down at 17,000. Obviously, we're in League One back then, weren't we? So, but yeah, it's been 21, 24, 21, and then 27 back in 2017 when we all thought it was all going to happen, and it never did. But yeah, then since then it's been even back in League One, 22,000 fans there. So we do always turn up. We turn up in his numbers consistently as customers. Let's come to James next. Then James, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not so bad, James. Are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. What do you want to say, James?
Oh, I've got a list. Jesus. Well, obviously from last night, I just agree with everyone else. It's like Chansiri needs to either back Danny Röhl properly or just sell the club. And if he wants a buyer, I urge everyone on Twitter to get on to Elon Musk's back and get him, because he wants to buy Liverpool. Put Liverpool by Wednesday instead.
Yeah, do you know what? Some of he didn't give straight answers. He never has done. But I don't know why we're sitting here surprised that it were going to be any different, because they all end like this. They're all a total waste of time, and we come away with more questions than we get answers. But yeah, what do you make to the breakdown? Clearly, breakdown in the relationship between Danny Röhl and Chansiri, because for me it is quite worrying, and it's not going to end very well. There's only one ending, and that is that it's just going to leave.
Yeah, well, like I say, I've been a journalist, sports journalist, for like 2 or 3 years now, and I do not believe that Danny Röhl did not have a plan or a list of players that he wanted. He would have had that list by November of players that he needed and players that he wanted to improve the squad. But I honestly don't believe Chansiri has the money to back himself up to do that. And if he ain't got the money, then it's time to go, to be honest, because we only need one or two. We only need like 2 or 3 players, I reckon, through the January transfer window right now. A centre back, obviously now a replacement for Shea Charles. It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
Sorry, James. Just when you said that, just a little piece of my heart broke, because I knew you were going to say centre half, and then I thought, please don't say centre mid.
Yeah, we do know. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you make to that as well, James? That Shea Charles is being recalled, because it was very dramatic in the way that it was announced right at the end, of course, like just after midnight.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that he was then like verbally attacking Southampton, saying that we can, if they attack us, we can attack them. It was just really, really bizarre. And I've seen a lot of people saying that maybe it was down to the comments that he made, because he did say that Shea Charles isn't a Premier League footballer, which I know quite a few people picked up on. But then he's also, I think just the fact of being an absolute lunatic. Maybe what do you think kind of swayed it? Was it just a case that they was always going to recall him, or do you think it was because of last night that it happened?
I think it's because of last night, to be honest, with the amount of people that were not attacking him, but asking him genuine questions, what all fans really want from their club. I just think it was sort of he already knew this like way before this was going to happen, and then Chansiri being Chansiri just wanted a mic drop moment to walk out on, like like Eminem, end of a show type of thing. Like he always has to be the center of attention because obviously I reckon that's the reason why he brought this fans forum to. Well, brought up in a fans forum. Not because he wants to get the answers. It's because he wants to. He saw that Danny Röhl was getting all the plaudits for what he's done for the club, which is amazing. And Danny Röhl, obviously not Danny Röhl. Chansiri thought he was being left on the sidelines, type of thing, like being in the quiet. So he has to pull himself out of the quiet and put himself back in the limelight. So obviously he's done that again. And I think Chansiri, he just needs to put his ego aside and just, if he cares about the club, either sell it or back Danny, because everyone knows. I listened to people tonight. It's like talking about Danny Röhl and that. I know he's one of the top managers, or is going to be one of the top managers in Europe and international football. I'm probably going to win the World Cup with Germany at some point again, but this time as manager. He just feels like it's like Chansiri needs to back him or let him go. And I wouldn't blame him. I wouldn't blame Danny if he walked out tomorrow and said, I can't do this anymore, and it's left by mutual consent. Because I don't he is an ambitious manager. He's an ambitious young manager. And on Radio Sheffield earlier, they were talking about like Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, like how much they would be headaches and stuff to control. But they're ambitious. And you can't hold his ambition, and Danny's one of them who's going to be up there around the world. It's going to be very, very highly sought after, and I don't believe like Southampton probably didn't want him. To be honest, a lot of clubs would have wanted Danny Röhl. Even probably Sheffield United probably want Danny Röhl over Wilder. But it's just one of them cases. It's like we've got Danny for now. But honestly, I would not blame him if Danny goes. And sadly, I think I wouldn't go back. I won't go back to Hillsborough.
Well, James, what's your overriding emotion at the moment, James?
Anger.
towards the chairman, I guess.
Towards the chairman, Chansiri, because I've tried to reason in my head, thinking, he's put all this money in, he's done this for the club. He wants to love the club, blah, 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 blah. But he's either going to, right now, he's got the perfect opportunity, 3 points off the playoffs, a chance to get it Premier League, where he's going to get like 200 million, maybe more, if we got there. And he's not willing to make that one last, jump, one last sacrifice. Yeah. And it feels like either Chansiri goes or just hire someone who actually knows the game, who's similar, like, I'd say hire Simon Jordan to run the club.
Well, he needs to bring someone in who knows something about football. He clearly doesn't, and he just writes the checks, and he needs help. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of help. James, massive thanks for coming on, mate. Do appreciate it. Let's come to G in a second. Let's read a few more messages out. Jack said if Röhl never happened, this would have been Röhl saved the club effectively last year. James, sorry, I know while James was speaking there, I did take a second just to make a little bit of sense of that. But yeah, effectively, if I think Jack's what was trying to type out there was if Röhl hadn't happened last year, this all would have come out, because Chansiri would have ended up having to be backed into a corner because of how much of a shit show we were in last year, and ultimately he ended up saving it. I think that's where Jack's coming from. Please correct me if I'm wrong, mate. Cheers for helping me out on that one. I was a bit struggling there. Owen said top 6 matchday revenues in the league, bottom 6 squad wages. No questions at forums or sinking in. He'll only respond to actions. Mass non-attendance needed. Let's have a look. Got Knack again. The problem is he's trying to run the club as a profitable business when owning a football club has to be by heart and not your wallet. We are a second business to his other one. Alex, it's the Wendy way. It's all right. We beat Leeds on Sunday, even if Danny isn't in the dugout. And we'll need to give Shea Charles a massive reception on Sunday because he's been nothing but good for us and a great lad. Do you know what as well? I've heard that he can play the next 2 games. Why would he? Like, why would Southampton allow him to play the next 2 games? I know it would be baffling, really. G, I'll come to you in a second, but I just want to let's talk about Shea Charles because we're an hour and 50. We're an hour and 15 minutes in, and we haven't mentioned him. How much is that going to affect us, Matt? Without having him, because he is by far head and shoulders the best player that we've got at the club at the moment.
Yeah, he's the second most important player to Barry Bannon, and that is saying something of a player who's been at our club for a decade, and the entire system ticks around Barry Bannon's creativity. Shea Charles is the second most important cog in that machine. Just deal with him on the pitch when he was brought in. Obviously, up to that point, we'd won the first game, but then gone on to lose 4. If you include Millwall, I know he played, but it was his first game. After that, he has been instrumental in the fact that we've shifted to a 2 rather than a 3 in midfield. He's intelligent enough to be able to recognise when he needs to go, when he needs to cover, and he's got the engine to do it. In the past couple of weeks, I think the most impressive thing is we've started to see an output from him in terms of goals and assists. Obviously, he got the goal in October, but he obviously has been providing a number of assists over that Christmas period. I can think Middlesbrough, and what was the one at home as well? There was one at home where he won the ball back off defend. Was it? No, so it'll come back to me.
It was Jan Valery, weren't it? Where he didn't get the assist, but he won the ball back, laid it off for Masaba, who crossed it in for Valery. Against.
There was another. I'm sure there was another one where he wins the ball back on the edge of the area and then drives forward, picks the right pass, and it's squared for a tap in. I can't remember, James. Somebody will pick it up in the chat. Ultimately, he is the best loan player that I've seen at Sheffield Wednesday since Ross Barkley. And I would imagine he goes on to have a career of that similar stature. And no matter what you thought about Ross Barkley went on to play for one of the big top 6 teams in this country, a global name. That is genuinely how high I would rate him from what we've seen from him in these first couple of months here. If that game at Coventry was to be his last game, it was a stereotypical Shea Charles game in terms of battling for everything, winning fouls, driving the team forward, scored obviously his penalty. It would just be a real shame that he doesn't actually end up getting a Hillsborough send-off if that was his last game. But you're absolutely right, James. If he is leaving, why on earth, if you are Southampton, after hearing that shit show yesterday, why on earth would you allow him to play in the next 2 games? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. You've had a chairman who's tanked his reputation in a fans forum. You have pissed them off substantially, probably. I'm going off an assumption here in the way that you have dealt with the approach from Southampton for the manager. Why on earth would you allow him to play in those 2 games? He's your asset at the end of the day. Bring him home.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it might be in the contract that you get 7 days or whatever, look, he can just refuse to play, can't he?
I'm feeling so ill. I'm feeling so ill today.
Yeah, exactly. He just doesn't play. So I think if it is right that he has been recalled, which we'll have to take Chansiri's word for it that that's happened, then yeah, I don't think we're going to be seeing Shea Charles again in a blue and white shirt, which is really sad because I think again, one of if not the best performing player on the pitch for me, week in, week out, just effortless. But Matt, how do we go about replacing him? Because we haven't got anyone in the squad that can step up to do that role. Nathaniel Shalabar's not played 90 minutes yet all season.
He'll be good for 45 though, James.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, what? I don't know where we look. We haven't got anyone. We're looking at Liam Palmer playing in that central defensive midfielder role, or it is Shalabar. But if he's fit enough.
Well, as the chairman kept reiterating yesterday, he has money. He has money. There is money. If the manager wants to spend money, I will spend money. As he kept reiterating over and over again, anytime he was questioned on investment into the squad yesterday evening, constantly just reiterating, I have money. Money is not the issue. Money's not a problem. Cool. Go out and buy him then. I think the initial retaliation to that was based off a question that was asked around Shea Charles as well, wasn't it? And I think the actual person who was asking the question, I can't remember who it was, actually said, no, I'm joking. like I'm joking. And he was going, no, I have money. I have the money. Like that's not the issue. I want to know who the players are that the manager needs. Okay, if you've had the money, where has it been? Where has it been for the past number of years? Where was it in the summer? Yes, I know Paul rightly said, like, there's been investment in sort of like Ike Ugbo, obviously, over the summer. And I know players' wages take up a big portion of that investment. But if you are just, anytime anybody asks a question, you're just throwing back, well, I have the money. Cool, go out and spend it. Go out and buy someone exactly like that. See if you can find him.
Yeah, you're right. Let's come to G then, who's been patiently waiting. I've got Archie and I've got Austin that wants to speak as well. G, how's it going, mate? You all right?
I feel like I've been just listening to a brick wall with you two.
What do you mean?
Well, it was just like, I was just patiently waiting because, well, every time I listen to you two, yada yada yada, I feel like I'm listening to. I might listen to what's going on here.
Go on then, G. What do you want to say, mate? Like, how was you there yesterday at the fans forum?
I did not even want to see that ugly prick's face.
What do you want to say, G?
But I was actually thinking of going down to the ground and trying to. I would see if I could find the boss man himself, but I felt like no, I don't want to do that. I just want to stay away from that fans forum as far as possible.
Gee, you sound quite angry, mate.
Well, just after listening to that, honestly, I would just like to see him get out of Sheffield, get out of England, be gone for good.
Yeah, I mean, what was your takeaway from what he said last night, G? You know, he said that he always backs his managers. He also said that he doesn't know what he's doing wrong. Obviously, that that was in reference to he started by saying that he put the fans forum on because people were messaging him and saying that this, that, and the other, and he came out and said, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing wrong and still doesn't know. Yeah, what not speaking to Danny Röhl since December as well. What was your key takeaway?
I think the key takeaway for me was not speaking to Danny about transfers, which he should have done.
Yeah, it's a big worry, that, isn't it, G?
And the losing Shea Charles, it's a right massive blow. And honestly, he's become one of my all-time favourite loan players. But the old saying goes, never fall in love with a loan player. But that's just got to be one of the biggest loan losses in history, to be honest.
Yeah, he's going to be a huge miss in it, to be fair. But yeah, I just find it baffling that Danny Röhl hasn't gone to speak to him. I just can't. I just can't get that around my head. Like Matt, like it just doesn't happen, does it? Like January transfer window comes around every single year. It's not a surprise. Yeah. They should be talking.
But even if they're not talking directly to one another, Danny should be communicating through the recruitment team, and Chansiri should be communicating to the recruitment team, because presumably that's why you have a recruitment team. That's why you have all of these trusted advisors, as Chansiri has often mentioned, both last night and also previously, about all of this massive breadth and whole host of different people that he uses as transfer advisors. Okay, you can have a breakdown between, say, for argument's sake, owner and manager, but actually you should still be able to get business done. Like now, I don't know either way. I just, as I said, you know, like on the pod on Sunday, I would find it baffling, and it would be the first time in the history of football management that actually a manager has not gone to a owner or a recruitment team and said, this is what I need, can you get it me? Like, I just, personal opinion, I just don't believe, again, as we were saying on Sunday, truth is somewhere in the middle, but I just simply don't believe it.
Yeah, what did you say to that, G?
I'll be honest, right? I go down to that ground every home match, right? My cousins go down there. I got some friends that go down there, and yeah, all I want. But the thing is, why bring a fans forum on a January window? I don't get that.
Well, he started it because he wanted to know what he was doing wrong and why people were criticising him. That's why he did that. As to why he needed it in a fans forum in a public setting, I have absolutely no idea. I'm sure his people could have could have been able to compile what the complaints were and just told him what they were. I don't know why we needed to have this, have it done in this way, because it never ends well, does it, G?
A waste of time. It was just a waste of time. Like, honestly, well, it's January now. We're not gaining targets in. Like, we're not bringing anyone in, and just honestly, like Paul said, he's got to sell it. Honestly, I don't see any hope or future with him in charge at all. None at all.
Yeah, G, massive thanks for coming on, mate. Do really
mate.
appreciate it. I also want to I've got Austin and Gavin that want to speak as well. Let me just read a few more comments out on X as well. Yeah, Kelly, never fall in love with a lone player. Matt said, sure, I read somewhere that it's an EFL requirement for the fans forum to take place, but the next one needs to take place with someone either translating in real time or pre-asked questions being answered after being translated. Be nicer if he had sold before then, though. Yeah, I saw that, but I don't know if some people said you just have to have the engagement panel meetings, but I was under the same impression as you that it has to have these fan forums. We've also got... Tio said Stoke at home. This is in relation to the other assist. Stoke at home. Charles wins it back. Plays the value, squares it for Windass 1-0. And wasn't an assist that one, but anyway. Yeah, loads more comments as well. Let's come to Austin next. Then Austin, how's it going, mate? You all right?
Hi, you're right.
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. What do you want to say, Austin?
So just a couple of things. I mean, like, I don't even know what to think of the situation at the moment. I mean, it's just appalling how in the footballing world how this can happen. I just feel like bias aside, this shouldn't happen. I feel like there should be stuff like steps in the way, like the FA or the EFL or whoever's at the top, just like protect the fans from stuff like this. I mean, it's just like, I don't know how they're going to do it, but it won't happen because this doesn't happen to other clubs. I just don't get how we as fans can suffer from an owner like Chansiri. I mean, he says I've seen on Twitter, I don't know if it's real or not, that he's waiting for his son to take the club. It's just like we're not that. That's not how football works.
Yeah, that's as far as I'm aware, that wasn't said yesterday, but I know that's the theory that you've got in it, Matt.
Yeah, 100%. I just think and to be fair, this could all be solved in one swift movement. Yes, one of the options is sell it, but at Chansiri kicks off his Twitter, walks through the door and just says, right, I'm going to completely change the model of investing. I'm going to employ people from successful football clubs, implement a similar off-field structure. Secondly, I'm going to invest in recruitment, players, analytics teams, and try and kind of like drive that youth and that younger system. Then I'm going to develop the club's facilities. I mean, it would be a total sea change. But again, it wouldn't surprise me, Austin. Genuinely, it wouldn't surprise me, because that has seemed the end game from my perspective, definitely for a little while now.
Yeah, I mean, I hope. Part of me hopes it happens because obviously he's the only one of the family who actually posts about us on Instagram and stuff. So he obviously has some sort of like love for the club. Obviously, Chansiri's dad doesn't, but and also like he talks about selling the club, but if I'm like trying to buy a club and I see the state that we're in, it's not very attractive at all. I just feel like, especially if Danny Röhl leaves.
But also, don't you think it's just getting a bit embarrassing now? We are, everyone's laughing at us. You know, all the other clubs, the fans of other clubs, and to be fair, fans of other clubs, they're laughing, but they're also sympathising with us as well. I've had Leeds fans in here, you know, in the comments saying, you know, I really feel for you guys. Obviously, they went through a similar situation with their previous owners. You know, with their, like, you know, banters going backwards and forwards, and then having rival fans. The team who were playing on Sunday, you know, we all hate Leeds and all that lot, but then they're even coming out and saying that they sympathise with us. You know, that it shouldn't be happening. That should it? I mean, it's nice that they are sympathising, but there shouldn't be any sympathy anywhere. They should just have an owner that's just competent and doing the right thing.
Yeah, well, the reality of it is, it's not the situation you want to be in where rival fans, massive rivalry. Obviously, us and Leeds gone down for years and stuff. You don't want them going, "Oh, we sympathise for you" and stuff. Like that's just not the situation you want to be in as a football fan. That one of your biggest rivals and your fans are coming in and just like it. I feel like it's shocking, especially like even with Danny Röhl, like the last obviously that what was it? Was it that Derby game? I think it was recently. Who was like smirking and stuff about players who are interested. If I'm a player, obviously I play for my local team. If I'm a player and I'm looking to join a club, and I see this like on my feed, on my Instagram feed, because I follow BBC Sport or something. If I see that and I'm like, what do I really want to join a club in this state? I mean, it's just I just don't see like why players would join, especially if they're getting paid by a guy who's like just talking poo all the time. So it's like,
Austin, what's your overriding emotion at the moment?
honestly, depression. I'm so depressed at the moment over this whole. Obviously, I'm quite young. I don't live too close to Sheffield, so it's quite a journey to get to the games. But I just feel like I've known Chansiri's kind of been my owner of the club for most of my life. But I feel like in the summer it all silenced down. Obviously, when he got Danny Röhl to sign the 3-year deal, everyone was happy with him. I didn't see the need of the forum, and it's just I think it's all gone to pot. And,
just on that, Matt, it's a great point there. That Austin's saying that the only owner he can remember is Chansiri. I can remember, only a couple of days ago, there was someone on Twitter and saying, "Oh, you don't know what it was like. We had owners back in the 70s, and it was, the grass isn't always greener and stuff like that." But as Austin was saying there, the only owner he knows is Chansiri. So you shouldn't have to say, "Oh, he's better than what we've had in 30, 40 years ago or whatever."
Yeah, and I'm not trying to do a disservice to anybody who has, lived through some of the, when I was having that conversation with the gentleman on X, I was basically saying, no, I wasn't there during the 70s, and I'm sure I would have a similar opinion, because obviously I can imagine, I don't want to speak for anybody here, but if it was the first time that you've gone through it, that's always going to be the most harrowing experience. And then I know people talk about Dave Allen as well in the same breath as well. And there's a couple of our chairmen who kind of get mentioned with it. From myself, like, again, as I've said, like, I was alive during the Dave Allen period. There was a lot of stuff being thrown sort of Milan Mandaric's way the other way about, like he sold us to him and he wanted to get rid of him to the land of Azerbaijan salesman and all the rest of it. But people forget surrounding when Mandaric obviously sold us. Mandaric was very open when he took over the club, saying, look, this is a club that shouldn't go out of business. I've seen an opportunity. I will eventually end up selling you. Here's what the budget is. I will know how to run this football club. The first sale that fell through, which didn't meet the FA regulations surrounding that, was due to a business that collapsed whilst the takeover was going on. So actually did everybody a favour, because up until that point, it was a very credible business in theory. I don't know the ins and outs, but in theory, he had no idea when he turned it over to Chansiri what Chansiri was going to do to it, because actually there was a structure in place. There was a footballing committee. There was a board, like a number of board members who were there. And inside of 6 months, Chansiri had decimated all of them and got us into this situation. So again, for yourself, Austin, I thought the way you've summed that up there is speaking so well about the fact that Chansiri, just because I've lived through the past of previous owners, doesn't make this one a great owner. And on the contrary, if this is all you've known, this 100%, I can understand why people are so angry about it and feel that he is the worst owner, because what other yardstick have you got to compare him against?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't see, like, especially with the relationship between the owner and the manager, I just don't see how it's going to work out, especially towards the end of the season. It's just not what you want to see in your club, and it's just
What
speechless.
Austin, I'm going to put you on the spot here, but like, what do you want to see from an owner of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club? What sort of things does the chairman and owner, not necessarily Dejphon Chansiri, but any chairman really? What do you want to see them do?
In reality, I feel like you need an owner who obviously has a lot of respect towards the manager. I'm not saying Chansiri doesn't, but I feel like you need those not monthly talks like December. Like you probably talk before Christmas time. And I just feel like you need those those relationships with the owner and the manager at least every 2 weeks, just to keep updated, keep the owner in flow. And even if an owner comes in and is like buying the club for however much money and it isn't really ready to invest early on, I'm not too bothered if he's not willing to invest millions and millions of pounds that Chansiri did it when he had Carvajal. It's just like, yeah, we just need an owner who's willing to just go out of his way to protect the fans, protect the club, and just back like all the hate that he gets. He doesn't have to be. He might bottle it inside. He might get some hate, but he doesn't have to be. Onoda that puts it all on the fans and doesn't blame him. He blames everyone else.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. Austin, thanks for your comments, mate. Thanks for coming up
Thank
as
you
well.
so much. Thank you so much.
Do really appreciate it from everyone as well. Let's come to Gavin next. Let's read a few more comments out. Alex says Danny Röhl was a best chance, but Chansiri fucked it up again. Goes on to say he's gutted. Chansiri out. Enough is enough. Alex says hopefully presser tomorrow clears stuff up, good or bad. Just put us out of our misery. Like someone said at the top, I think it was Rob. Wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow's press conference was cancelled, because it's not going to go well, and every single question is going to be about the chairman and not about Leeds on Sunday. Yes, we are playing Leeds on Sunday, if you had forgotten, because I certainly it slipped my mind a little bit earlier on. Gavin, how are you going, mate? You all right?
We're all right. Yeah.
We'll say yeah, Gavin. We'll say yeah.
We'll say yeah.
Okay. Go on, before you start talking, Gavin, what is your overriding emotion right now? 24 hours after the whole debacle that was the fans forum yesterday.
It's just an amalgamation of an absolute fuck up, really, isn't it? It's like he just doesn't know what he's fucking saying, does he? Really, it's like one minute he's saying this, that, and other, and then next minute is like saying another thing. I'm surprised he didn't bring up fucking Carlton Palmer, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought that was, like I said, everyone had that on the bingo card. Unfortunately, he didn't mention him at all. But yeah, like, you know, what was the thing that you took away from it all, from his comments that he made? Because he did make some claims, you know, that the whole backing every manager I mentioned a few times. You know, he doesn't know what he's doing wrong. That you can't tell me to sell the football club. You need to, you know, if you do, you need to find me a buyer. The fact that he said, I look forward to talking to him if he wants to talk to me in relation to Danny Röhl. What was the thing that kind of struck you from yesterday?
Well, trouble is with Chancery, it's like opening up a bag full of monkeys, isn't it? It's like you've got absolutely no idea what he's going to come out with, when or whenever. It's like right. So we had all this thing about when Southampton sacked the manager. It's like, is Danny Röhl going to go to Southampton or not? No, he's not. Right. So let's get Danny on board. Give him the funds that he needs to get the team better. It's, I know Shea Charles has gone, but just give him the funds. It's like, and I know I can probably understand from Chancery's point of view, because he spent £10 million on Jordan Rhodes, which was an absolute fuck up. But just give him the funds, just let him sign who he wants, and we'll be there.
The thing is, Jordan Rhodes was like 7-8 years ago now. That's long gone. Do you know what I mean? Like, that shouldn't haunt you still from back then. Like, all right, yes, it was a lot of money. I mean, he spent £2.5 million on Ugbo, and that's not really worked either. But the thing is, we don't sell players, so we don't buy players. So when we do, we're literally putting all his eggs in one basket and pinning all his hopes on one star signing, and that's just not the way that you operate, is it really? You've got to, you know, I put a list of all the players that we've sold, you know, counting on nearly on one hand, the amount of players that we've got money for. And I think two of them, Azazi Rigidi and Liam Shaw, not Luke as I initially put, but Liam Shaw.
And Zhao.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is Urigidi and Liam Shaw, we got money for him, but that was just compensation because we couldn't give them a new deal, and they decided to leave. So we didn't actually sell them. We just got a bit of compo for him. So yeah, Zhao is like the only one that we've actually sold. Like player trading is how you get by especially in the Championship. You look at like the top clubs. The reason why they can buy players for decent money is because they're selling players for decent money as well to generate that income. And we just don't do that. We don't do that at all. Historically, we've just brought players in with no saleable assets at all. All right, now we might have got a few: Gassama, Masaba, Dishon Bernard, just to name a few. Obviously, you've got Bailey Cadamartri as well. You've got Pierce Charles. These players that might have a little bit of value, but you have to move them on so you can improve the squad. And he said again, he mentioned about Forestieri and said that more of an asset to him or to the club and to the team than it was to sell him. And I get that to a certain extent, but again, it shouldn't just be one player. Like it shouldn't have to be going back all those years to that one time.
No.
Show me a recent one, and the problem is there isn't one. And they say, we have to have bids for players, but the players just aren't good enough that we're bringing in because the budget's not there, or we just haven't got a plan. We're bringing players in, and then we're sacking the manager and bringing in someone else. It's like the manager's like chalk and cheese. They're totally different to each other every single time. So the players we're bringing in, again, are totally different. If we bring in a Darren Moore manager next, we've got players that want to play out from the back, and we're trying to potentially lump it forward. Not saying that's what Darren Moore was doing, but Gareth Ainsworth, for example, just lump it forward every 2 minutes. Like we're back to square one again. So we're not, the players are just going to be contracts are going to get run down, not going to go anywhere, not playing, and yeah, it's just so frustrating. And the problem that I had yesterday, Gavin, is that every question that we had as fans wasn't met with any sort of. It wasn't welcome. It was all they got the guard up every single time, and they had an answer for everything, and it was just on the defence constantly. They didn't want to listen at all.
Well, I think next time he does a fans forum, next time he wants to do it in Oudcran or Hillsborough Club or fucking Barrack Tavern, and let them fucking tell him what we fucking want.
But you don't need to do a fans forum to find out what the fans want, though, Gavin. Do you know what I mean? You can easily find out what we want without having to endure and go through 5-6 hours worth of the same question over and over and over and over again. Like these other. Why don't you just welcome questions anyway? Why is it not the? Why doesn't you say that there's a platform where you can ask Chansiri a question, and he'll answer it either on a video. They could do it on socials, or they could do it just just in written form. There's loads of ways that it can be done. You don't have to make people sit through it all like we did yesterday.
Could you imagine that on Twitter? Hashtag Ask Chancery. Fucking hell.
It doesn't have to be like that, but these ways that we can get these questions to him and he can answer them. I thought it was an absolute car crash yesterday. Why we didn't have a way of doing that, asking questions. The questions then get categorized, because obviously there'll be some with slight nuances. The questions get put to Chansiri. He answers them, or he's got an answer ready, primed, and he knows what he needs to say. And it'll be concise and straight to the point. And then we obviously would invite follow-up questions off the back of that. None of that happened. It was just an absolute farce yesterday. By all accounts, it's like that every single time. So
I mean, obviously, I'm not a businessman, and I don't own my.
Well,
own
Gavin,
house.
your response is not valid.
So I'm not a businessman. I don't own my own house. I live in a council house, but I'm a Wednesday fan, and I pay my money the same as each and every one of us on this forum tonight.
But Gavin, whether you're season ticket holder, whether you've got a box, whether you never go, or you've only been to one match, or you live other side of the world in Australia. Like that, you're right when you say you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and that's what all that matters. It shouldn't matter how much money you've bought, how many season tickets, how many shirts you've bought, or whatever. You're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and that doesn't really hit home with Chansiri. All he's looking at is how much money are you putting into the football club. I read that comment out earlier. He wasn't prepared to help someone because he wasn't a season ticket holder. He's looking and think that's rubbish.
Thing is, it's like I might, like I say, I'm not a fucking businessman, but all the prices seem to go up every fucking season. It's like, just keep the prices low, keep the tickets low, fucking keep the food prices low. It's like, if you keep the ticket prices low, people will come in, and then more people are coming in. They're buying more food, they're buying more drinks. It's like.
But how's about just increasing the product though instead, Gavin, as well? You don't have to have it cheap. People will pay if they think the product's good enough. And at the moment, the product isn't good enough, is it? The matchday experience is awful. I had one person on Twitter saying, "Well, I only get there 5 minutes before, so what's it matter? What do you want? Do you want a stand-up comedian coming on an hour before and telling you a few jokes or whatever?" I'm like, well, no, you don't necessarily need that. But if the reason why you only come 5 minutes before is because it's shit. Why would you come if there's nothing to do? You have to break the mold sometimes and actually do something, and we're stagnant. We just, like you said, we put the prices up, and people still buy them. And then so as far as they're concerned, and he even said that yesterday, that people are still buying the tickets. So it was almost like he was justifying the prices, and he just doesn't grasp that it's a way of life, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, and that's exactly what Alistair was saying yesterday with that insinuation to the response to Harry's question surrounding ticket increases and increasing new fans and bringing them into the ground. It was, well, we've increased our supporters by 21% over 10 years. So it was like, well, we're doing a good job then. It's all the numbers. It's just all down to the numbers. There is no thought of actually what. And again, I am aware as fans we do demand a lot, but that's because fan is short for fanatical. Like, we are fanatical about this football club and we want everything to be the best it can possibly be. So, yes, we are going to be at times somewhat unreasonable. We are going to demand more and more.
We do demand a lot, and it's like the last geezer that spoke that he's only known Chancery owning our club. It's like I've been following Wednesday since late 80s, early 90s. When we had Dave Richards and Dave Allen as blah, 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 but at least we had results back then. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but then again, some of our fans were fucking moaning because Mark Bright only scored 20 goals a fucking season.
Yeah, we're a fickle bunch, aren't we, Gavin? And I do get that. That's just football fans in general, isn't it? Really, you always want better all the time. I just don't agree with people saying that be careful what you wish for, because I said this when obviously it's not the chairman, this is more the manager. When Darren Moore was manager, people saying get rid of him. I was like, yeah, but you probably could and quite easily get a worse manager than what Darren Moore is. Yes, you could get a better one. He's not the best in the world, but the chances are you probably get one that isn't quite as good. When you talk about the chairman, for us to get a worse chairman than Dejphon Chansiri, we are seriously the most unluckiest football club ever.
I don't think we could get a worse.
Well, that's the point. That's the point I'm making. Like, there wouldn't be many that are worse than him, and it's a little bit like when Danny Röhl came in. We lost against Watford in the first game when he came in. Everyone was absolutely buzzing. We lost the game, but everyone was buzzing because it was better than what it was before. So that, by the same token, the new owner doesn't have to do a great deal when they come in to actually, for everyone to be like, oh, he's the saviour, we love you. Do you know what I mean? He can buy himself so much. It'd be an easy win. Just speak to a few fans and say what you want, and then do a couple of those, and everyone's absolutely buzzing. Like, you know what I mean? You start.
I know, but Danny has seriously got something special at this club. He loves this club, and I would hate to see him fucking leave. And I think he will.
Well,
I think he will. Whether it's halfway through the season or end of the season, we'll probably stay up, because it's like, it's like if you're looking for the magical 50 points, with 13 points off that. But I can see him leaving at end of the season.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's going to be in the same vein as Steve Bruce because, well, he were a fucking shit house, but it's not going to be in the same vein as that. But if Danny does leave for another championship club or whatever, it's like, if he ever comes back to Hillsborough, he will get a fucking great response because of what he has done for us.
Yeah.
It's like he took us from literally relegation fodder to keeping us up, and he's given us sort of a belief that we can get into the top 6. It's like, you look at it now, it's like, what are we, 3-4 points off at top or off at playoffs?
Yeah.
We've got that belief now that we, even though we're sort of like a, standard club in championship, but we're thereabouts. We're holding his own.
Well, but Chansiri wouldn't even tell us what his plan or his vision is for the club, which I think is quite telling. Maybe he's not telling us. Maybe he's not got one. I don't know. It could well be. I hope it's not the latter because that's quite worrying. But the way he's been running the football
to be
club
honest,
recently,
I don't think we could do no fucking worse if fucking Saddam Hussein bought us. To be fair,
yeah. Gavin, massive thanks for your comments, mate. We've got about 10 minutes left now before I start wrapping this up. But I've got Mr. M that wants to speak. Just read that comment though that you just brought up there, Matt. You don't even need to reduce the prices. You just need to match it by putting into the club like we are putting into the club. It's pretty simple, but your manager back the fans, and then we'll be quite happy to pay the money. Yeah, great comment there. James Saville said Danny is a next level manager. Chansiri isn't a next level owner. Simple as that. Alex has got a new chant. You had a good manager and you fucked it up. We had a few chants going, didn't we, in the Discord about Danny had a dream to build a football team and all that. But yeah, we'll let everyone else come up with the rest of the lyrics to that one. Mr. M, how are you going, mate? You all right?
Yeah, right. You?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you very much. What do you want to say?
I'm a bit surprised by a lot of the fans what are on here tonight, to be honest. Like, no one thought it was going to go like that. Like, it's a shock.
Yeah. Well, I think quite a lot of people said it prior. I think some people gave him the benefit of the doubt, but every other one has ended like this. And yeah, you're right. As you rightly say, it's no surprise, is it?
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few things. I expected what happened. I also, when people are saying about, he needs to sell the club and all that, he ain't going to. He has no reason to. He's got a load of money, doesn't care, he's not interested. It's his toy. He'll play with it until he's bored and maybe pass it on to his son.
But is that right though? Is that fair on us as fans?
Oh, absolutely not. No, but people going, he needs to sell if he does the right thing and all that. He's not going to, is he? He has no interest in it. Unless he needs the money, he has no reason to sell the club, and he'll just carry on being stubborn and do what he wants to do. He knows best. Director of football or whatever won't happen because they won't do what he wants. He's like a dictator. And I want this, I want that. I don't care about you lot. I'm the main man. See you later.
So do you think we've got Chansiri for the long haul then? Even longer than we've already had him, 10 years.
Oh yeah. He has no reason to go anywhere. Unless his businesses go bump and this is the only thing he's got and then he needs the money. What reason has he got to sell us? He doesn't need the money for it because he's not making any from it. So it is just a toy. So unfortunately, we're stuck with him and whatever he decides. And the only people that will work with him are the ones that just want some money. And he'll just go, yes, sir, 3 bags still, sir, thanks. Yeah, and I've got my wage for this week as well.
Yeah, the worrying thing for me was obviously the breakdown in communication with Danny Röhl. I kind of knew that anyway, really, when you hear what Danny's been saying in the media and stuff. But to hear that they've not even been talking. What do you make to that? Because it just seems like Danny's getting driven out of the football club from my perspective.
I don't know. I'm trying to work out whether did Danny want to go to Southampton, and he said no. You sign your contract, you stay in, and then they've had a bit of a to-do, and now they're not speaking. Is it something like that? So then he's going, right, well, if you're not working with me, I don't want nothing to do with you type thing. You can come and see me. Because there's no way a guy that preps for every match as well as he does didn't get a transfer list 3-4 months ago.
He's had a transfer list before he even came here. Do you know what I mean? He's that person. He'll be looking constantly on what he wants.
He's too organised. He knows exactly what he wants. Every single player, every stat. He would have had 3 or 4 options for every position he was looking at, and he would have handed him a shopping list, and he probably laughed in his face and said, "You're not having none of it. We can't afford none of it, but you can't tell anyone that, or else I'll sack you." Something like that.
Yeah, but apparently Chansiri doesn't. I hadn't heard anything what Danny Röhl said in the media, which again I just find quite baffling. Yeah, I mean he said he's backed his managers in the past, all of them.
Don't matter if it's £1 or £1 million. A quid's a quid, isn't it? If he's backed him. What I find quite funny is him saying he's got money to spend. He's got hundreds of millions, but he's not allowed to put it into the football club because of fair play. So it's all right saying he's got all these millions, but he can't go out and do it because he'll breach fair play, we'll get a points deduction, and we'll be worse off.
Well, we can though, because what have we lost? I think it was 7, and then 9 or something like that. Or it's on a 3-year rolling, so he can spend money. We haven't lost that much money in the last 3 years from a FFP perspective, as far as I'm concerned. I think can you lose 13 million? So we're 4 shy this year. We're 7 shy the one before. So we can we can lose 24 million this year or in this tax year and still be all right for FFP. But I don't know
before this summer.
Well, so by the end of this season, on these accounts, obviously that would have. I'm sure we're losing a lot more money than what we did last season, just given by how much the staff that we brought in. We've had them for a full season, Danny for a full season, and all that.
Yeah, that'll be quite a bit, won't it? Maybe he's got a little bit of money, but I don't know. I don't get the comment right near the end where he said, "Listen, if he doesn't give me a list and he doesn't talk to me, don't worry. I've got a plan. I'm fine." What? What does that even mean?
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
It doesn't work for the 18, does it? It's not behaviour or anymore. I've got a plan.
Mate, can I just say this has just been outstanding quality to listen to, because again, as depressing as it was to start off with, it's the truth. Like every single thing that you're saying is, I couldn't start. I was like one of them nodding Churchill dogs from adverts a year back, just sat there, just going up and down, up and down. But yeah, it's true. Like everything that you say, like in terms of it, is true. And James, you're right. We have got money to spend. Like we have got leeway within the window for the first time in years. Like, but again, it comes back to that idea. So what is the plan? Like, what is the plan? What is going to happen?
I saw a graphic the other day, and it showed you like how much money clubs had in the Championship had lost. It also like kind of highlighted when they got promoted and relegated. Every single club that had been promoted to the Premier League had lost probably in the region between 20 and 70 million pounds in that season. Obviously, in the cases of like Aston Villa, Wolves, who obviously went for it big time, but the vast majority had lost in excess of 20 million pounds in that season where they got promoted. You can't expect us to just get there by luck. Like, it's no coincidence that all those teams got promoted. And you also looked at all the teams that got relegated, and again, the vast majority of them hardly lost any money, because it's just a sad realization, isn't it, that in this league you have to spend money to get to where you need to be, or just come out and say that we're just going to be for the next 5 years, I want to stabilise and become a profitable football club, And then if he comes out and says that, we might not agree with it, but you know, at least that's where that's what we know we're going to get.
But then, you got teams like Bournemouth, who it's like teams like Bournemouth. It's like they were in League Two, God knows how many years ago, on minus 17 points. It's like, and they were playing my local team, Chesterfield, and now they're in Premiership, and they're they're staying there.
Yeah, they've got a plan. Go on, Mr. M.
I was just saying they've got a structure and a plan. And if what you said a few minutes ago, where you said if you did all the questions pre-asked, then he could write them all down and then answer them at the forum in a structured way and not be reckless like he is. People have listened to it more, but he's just speaking in broken English erratically. I think that's the best way of saying it.
Yeah, do you know what? There were 200, 300 people there yesterday that were willing to listen to him. There were people who were willing to listen and obviously put their point forward. And nobody was being disrespectful or anything like that. I think, as I mentioned at the top, I don't know if you was in, but I said, you know, people. I think we've just come to realization, like you rightly said when you came in. He's here for the long haul, and this is it. You know, he's not going to go anywhere. So we've just got to kind of suck it up and see. But he can't just carry on in the way that he is. But I think we're just wrong in expecting him to change, because he hasn't changed in 10 years, has he? Really?
The only light at the end of this conversation, listening to you all tonight, was the comment of that app could potentially take over and come on with all brand new young ideas and change everything that his dad's fucked up. And that was the only little smile on my face that could happen.
And just on that, I was just sorry, James. I was just going to say, and just on that, mate, I come up with that in between lessons of 5 minutes of when I had 5 minutes of thinking time today in between teaching. So it's not fucking rocket science if I can do it, but I don't own a business, so what do I know?
Yeah, right. I'm going to wrap things up there. Mr. M, thank you very much. What's your name, by the way? I can't keep calling you Mr. M. I know I'm wrapping it up. What's your name?
Steve.
It's Steve. Right, Steve. Thanks for coming on, mate. Do really appreciate it. Again, massive thanks to everyone as well for coming on. Do really appreciate it. I know it's been a bit depressing this time, but here's where we are. We have got a game on Sunday. It is Leeds United. We haven't even spoken about it because, quite frankly, who gives a toss? What happens in that one? Will Danny be there in the dugout? I hope so. Will Shea Charles have a blue and white shirt on? Probably not. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
he'll have an orange one on, James.
Just fucking fuck Leeds over. We'll fuck Leeds over.
Well, yeah. Cheers, Gavin. Let's see what happens. One thing as well I want to finish on. I did tweet out earlier, like, whatever happens, just back them 11 players on the pitch. It's not their fault that the owner is an absolute lunatic. They probably know that themselves anyway. But yeah, let's back the players. Let's get behind them, as we always do anyway. And yeah, let's see what happens. I can see there's been over 3,000 people watching. There's been about at least 200 people in the Twitter Spaces on a regular basis, which has been quite phenomenal really. But yeah, we're back at the normal time of Wednesday next week, 8 p.m. So if it's your first time listening, first time watching, do join us. We'll obviously be talking about Bristol City next Tuesday at home. So do join us next week. Hopefully a bit of normality. Will we have signed any players? Will Danny have actually given Chansiri a list? Who knows? No idea. But yeah, we'll be back. So thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you all next time. Cheers.